attached to goods, to buying things, to having things, to acquiring, get a better job, two incomes. Now they have volunteerism. Then not only do they have people working two jobs, they want you to go do something for free.
Yeah, it just was...
And you just mentioned that.
Yeah.
Materialism.
Well, it came up a lot. I mean, he had themes that ran through his shows. And it is what I emulate. You know, I try to do a show that if you took the jokes out of it would still be an interesting speech that made you think. And that's where that comes from.
Now, you're a professional. He'd write all his own... I know. How did he remember it all?
That's a great...
That patter so fast.
Because I think it's because he worked all the time. I mean, he was always on the road. I know, because we tried to book him. You know, it's funny, he was booked on our show for our last show of the season. I purposely saved him for last, because I think he's the best. It was supposed to go on in November. It was our last show of the season before this. And we lost, it's the show we lost to the writer's strike. So that was going to be my last time to sit with him.
But the patter that he remembered... I always would watch him and say, how did he... An hour and a half he'd do, and he'd remember every word.
Right. I think it's because, first of all, it was what he loved, you know. Look, I think he died a happy man. I know it's a sad day, and I'm certainly extremely sad to see him go. But, you know, he had a great life. He did what he loved, and he worked on it constantly. His whole life, I think, was gathering material. He was always assembling and noticing, and he had 4 computers, you know, and he would log stuff away, and he would salt it here and put it there, and then he would, you know, go on the road, and he would meticulously, you know, he very often had those routines that were like lists, long lists, and he would just rattle them off and off. And it was a performance. It was above just what the rest of us are doing, which is just speaking. It was a sort of performance art as comedy.
Good
amazing.
Point.
And I think he just loved what he did it every day. He couldn't stop doing it every day. And I think it's what he liked to do every day. Like somebody who likes to build a little ship in a bottle. That was his ship in a bottle.
The baseball, football routine.
Yeah, things like that.
Routines.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
True routines. You know, hunks, we used to call them in comedy.
It's interesting. I had no idea that you had such reverence for him.
Yeah,
and all the times I know you, you know, I just... Especially on my mind now with the religion thing, because truly, he is the only person who ever talked about that subject in that way. And your movie comes out in...
October 3rd.
Religulous.
Yes.
Bill's going to stay here. Bill's not going anywhere, don't you?
This country was founded by slave owners who wanted to be free. Am I right? A group of slave owners who wanted to be free. So they killed a lot of white English people in order to continue owning their black African people so they could wipe out the rest of the red Indian people and move west and steal the rest of the land from the brown Mexican people, giving them a place to take off and drop their nuclear weapons on the yellow Japanese people. You know what the motto? You know what the motto of this country ought to be? You give us a color, we'll wipe it out.
George Carlin is gone. Bill Maher remains with us here in Los Angeles. In Middletown, California, is Louis Black, the comic actor and writer, just with us the other night. The cover of his latest New York Times best-selling book, Me of Little Faith, includes a blurb from George Carlin. And in Las Vegas, old friend Roseanne Barr, comic actress and author, she's now performing at the Sahara Casino. Louis, I understand that you got a message on your answering machine from George Carlin?
When I was not very well known and was really still struggling and living in a 5-floor walk-up in New York, I got a message from George. I didn't know him. He called me and said, listen, Louis, this is George Carlin. First, let me tell you, there's nothing I can do for your career. And then he went on to say that he'd heard my stuff and he really liked it, and I made him laugh. And if I had any things to send it to him, because he had friends who liked to laugh, and that was what he could do. And just that alone really was for me. It was huge. It was absolutely huge, and it shut my mother up.
Roseanne, did you know him?
I knew him a little bit. I went to see him a few times, and I also interviewed him on my talk show in 1998, and I had a great talk with him then. But I saw him a few times after that, too.
What to you made him special?
I think it was the substance of the things that he said. I mean, he really, you know, tipped over every sacred cow. He told the American people exactly the truth about themselves and their country and everything else. He was fearless and always, like, spoke the truth to power and to everybody else. And, you know, he did it with just such great technical skill and theatrics. I mean, he was like nobody else. But I think the things that he said and the guts he had to say them, it was just, you know, breathtaking.
He was fearless, right, Bill?
The most fearless guy I've ever seen. And even more, I think, like I say, at the end, his last special, he did one only about a year ago, or maybe less. And I remember when I turned off the TV after watching it, I was like, damn, he's still ahead of me. You know, that's the rabbit. That's what I'm chasing.
What do you mean to you, Lewis?
Well, I think that thing Bill just said, that last special was astonishing, because he went into dark corners that I was like left breathless. I went, wow, I've never seen any comic kind of deal on that level and kind of go that far. It was like in a sense that kind of culmination of his career when you look back at it. But at the time, I thought, where does he go next?
Yeah, well put. Bill Maher, Lewis Black, Roseanne Barr are with us. They'll be with us right till the top of the...
I'm a rude dude, but I'm the real deal. Lean and mean, cocked, locked, and ready to rock. Rough, tough, and hard to bluff. I take it slow, I go with the flow, I ride with the tide, I got glide in my stride. Driving and moving, sailing and spinning, jiving and grooving, wailing and winning. I don't snooze, so I don't lose. I keep the pedal to the metal and the rubber on the road. I party hardy, and lunchtime is crunch time. I'm hanging in, there ain't no doubt, and I'm hanging tough, over and out.
I do remember all that. Kelly wanted to remind us that she wants to thank all of the fans and friends that have been contacting her today. Hugh Hefner, is it your memories of George Carlin? Bill Maher, how's he going to be remembered?
A lot of farting material, Larry. I mean, we've talked about the rest of it, but come on, it was really a lot about... No, I'm kidding. But, you know, that's what I loved about him, is that he could also do that. You know, he could just do serious, and then go through 3 minutes of something that was just silly. And I
Lewis Black, how do you think he's going to be remembered?
I think we were made smarter by his presence, and I think he'll be remembered for somebody who tried to drag us into the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
Roseanne?
I think he'll be remembered as somebody who changed comedy forever, as a deep thinker, a great philosopher, and an incredible writer, not to mention a great performer.
We have an email question from Donna in Chandler, Arizona. Mr. Carlin was the best, and I will miss him. As people who knew him, do you think he was a happy man? Bill?
Like I was saying, I think he was, because I think he worked at what he loved. How many people can say that they do what they love? And they do it every day. That little routine we just watched him doing, where he was reeling off all those catchphrases. You know, it took about 45 seconds for him to do that on stage. I bet you it took him months to put that together, to gather those things, to put them in the right order, to make that into a finely sculpted comedy gem. And that's all he wanted to do, and he did it better than anybody.
So, Lewis, in a sense, he taught all of you lessons, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. I'm not really here without him. He was vital to my growth. There's no denying it. I mean, he, you know, opened me up in a lot of ways. For all the minds that remain kind of closed to him, a lot of us are. It was like, wow, I've never thought of looking at it that way.
If possible, we will all be at that memorial service, and we'll let you know when it will take place. Thank you, Roseanne.
Thank you.